Franklin Communications Group, which is a nonpartisan, volunteer-powered network bringing local news and community stories to your ears. Subscribe to stay informed, share to keep your neighbors in the know, and if you've got news to share, the contact details are in the show notes. Now, here's what's happening in Franklin. Hey everyone, welcome listeners to the Trestle Times. Today, we're speaking with Randy Kovach, the founder of Trestle Times. We are going to skip upcoming events on this particular episode because I'm not sure when it's going to be posted. For all of you who don't know, Trestle Times started as a part of the Beacon newspaper. Let's get to know a little bit more about Randy. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about your background, in news or publishing, or what highlights you have for that.
Sure. Well, I originally went to college with the idea my dad wanted me to be a doctor. My mom wanted me to go in business. And I didn't really want to do either one of those. One, I don't like blood. And two, I didn't think I had the guts to be in business because I didn't want to have to force people into things. So I ended up becoming a teacher. I started out in college for 2 years in Michigan. To do my undergraduate and was selling shoes to work my way through. Then I went to Kansas University, and that's where my decision was made in my third year of college that I was going to be a teacher.
So what's your degree that you have for that?
Yes,
for teaching?
And I ended up getting a BS, which is a Bachelor of Science, and a double major in literature.
That's pretty good.
And the reason is I love to read, but I also it's never been fun, the editing part of it, but that was what I felt was important. And I wanted to work on writing the best stuff I could as grammatically correct.
So what was your first experience with that, of publishing something, enjoying that?
So, yeah, that goes back to 8th grade. Most of you won't remember this, but back in the 60s, you would have a piece of paper and you'd have a carbon behind it. You'd put it in a typewriter and then you'd type it up. And if you made a mistake, you had to put a whiteout on both the carbon and on the paper and then type it. So after you get that carbon made, you put it on this.
What is the process called? It's called a mimeograph?
Yeah, a mimeograph machine. And it's a circular, it's a cylindrical piece that goes around. You stick it in there, and there's an inkwell under it, and then each one copies off a paper, a carbon paper. I don't know if anybody's ever.
It sounds pretty old school, Randy.
Oh yeah, it was very old school, but I really enjoyed typing it up. It was hard work, but writing it and typing it just was really fun.
Okay, so from what you told me, you have some personal experience with publishing. And reviewing papers and even making some of your own. Tell me some about that.
Yes, over the years, I've been in different kind of businesses. So I had a small painting company and I did restoration work on houses and I restored houses. And during that time and also in sales, I did a lot of marketing to get myself work. So I'd have to make pamphlets, like trifold pamphlets or business cards or a lot of different pieces to get people familiar with me in paper, which is a little than it is now. And that went on.
So what's a more recent piece that you have been working on, specific to our area, maybe?
The most recent piece I've been writing is about the Daniel Webster birthplace, the historical site. It's a memorial and shrine to him and his father, Ebenezer. The first season I worked 4 years ago, I really knew nothing about Daniel Webster. And as I've learned since, that I don't think anybody knows much about Daniel Webster anymore unless they like history. And even that he's one of the most important statesmen and personalities that ever came out of
Excellent. So that's pretty important and prestigious.
Yes.
And so you're in the area and you got involved with the Andover Beacon.
Yes, and partly as a result of my knowledge, I decided that I wanted to fill the gap of the missing newspaper, the traditional newspaper, like the class I taught back in high school. I was advisor to the newspaper back in the Oh, I think it was 73 or something like that I taught it.
Because we
And
don't have one. We have one in Concord, right? And we have the
yes,
Laconia Sun, but there's nothing covering anything in between that's going out to the public.
correct. In fact, the Franklin Journal transcript was last published in the 90s, I think it is, or
I
somewhere
didn't know that.
between the 80s and 90s. And ever since then, we've been devoid of any kind of news. So bad that you can't even get news on the city website. But
Right.
you
Yeah, it's
can
not
get
updated very
news
often.
when you drive through town. The little signboard
I do love
does,
that.
does show you
It
something.
works. It
It
does.
does work. It's one place that you can go. And that's old school too, by the way. That's not anything new and
Yeah,
fancy.
but
That's
it's in your
been around
face. You
forever.
can't avoid it. You know what I'm saying?
You are absolutely correct. If you miss going down the road on the days it's up, you're out of luck. Unless you know somebody that can fill you in and you can call them.
It's the fancy carrier pigeon method, right?
That's very true. Very true.
So
So,
you developed this section of the Andover Beacon specifically for Franklin.
yes, let me
And
show you a picture of it real quick.
yeah,
That look. And there's the
yeah,
old Color's wheel at Trestle Times Park.
which is in our Trestleview Park. Yeah.
Yes, that's
And
right.
you met not only myself, but one of our initial writers there, of also my favorite maker of macarons,
That's true. And
Louise.
yes, Louise over at Downtown Crepes. I was in there talking to a friend of mine, and I was talking about I was going to need writers because I've got a section of the newspaper, and Louise pops up and says, "I'll do it," and that was my first writer. And then this other young lady named Erica Bruce, she came in a couple weeks later, a few weeks later.
I was actually picked up the paper and was reading it, right?
Right.
I was
She wanted to
looking
see
at
a
it.
real paper. She thought that
Yeah.
was impressive.
And it had a
And,
story, I mean, that Louise wrote in it about her store and her history. So that was cool.
yeah. And then I was introduced to William Pomeroy, who happens to be a photographer. So we got him involved, and he's got a background from Plymouth State. It's university now, I guess, and art design and photography. So he's
So there's
doing,
multiple people that were initially involved and getting involved all along, as I understand.
yes,
Unfortunately, though, unbeknownst and a surprise delivery of news, the Andover Beacon, for reasons of production, is no longer. So that means that our section of the Andover Beacon is no longer.
that is true. It was
Yeah.
a bad day, and it threw me for a loop because I was waiting for the March issue to come out.
I know.
Or was it the April? Whatever issue it was, the April actually. And instead of the newspaper being published, I was told we were closing. I was a bit surprised.
Yes, I was too. I wrote an article for that particular month, and you called me and you told me, and you said, "I'm working on some stuff. I'll get back in touch with you when I figure some stuff out." And I was like, "Okay, I'm never gonna hear from Randy again."
Right. So,
but lo and behold, I heard from you again, and you're making it online.
Yeah, surprisingly, I had over 30 contributors that have put in different articles in the last 4 months. And we came up with over 60 articles to put in the newspaper at that time. And so it was a good adventure. It went well. And so in the back of my mind, I figured maybe a year from now, I might get to the idea of doing some kind of online version. But truthfully, I've never used Facebook. I've only had it for a week now. And all of a sudden,
I know.
people want to talk.
Made you get it.
Yeah, I had to get it to participate in our operation. And so I'd never done TikTok. And I really was not comfortable with the idea of putting myself out there with that. But
you are connected now with a group of people that have come together, particularly our communications group, the news hounds, and most, if not all of these people either have businesses in Franklin or live in Franklin or both, like myself.
Right.
And it has been a wonderful journey getting to know them and meet them. And that's how this podcast actually evolved too, because it is an online format of a live interview, which we're doing now.
Right. And we try to do as much as possible the actual text as it comes up on the screen and it's recorded. So it's amateurish in one way, but in another way, it shows you that we are doing this to the best of our ability because it's local news.
It's for the people,
You know,
for the people, by the people, right?
And all that. And we're not out to sell a million issues. We're out to cover our territory, which is the local community, including the surrounding communities, because we're all interlocked. If we don't work together, we're just going to keep getting worse off.
Well, there's a lot of things that I didn't know coming to Franklin. For example, I didn't even know until I stopped and talked to someone who was doing the weeding in the Trestle View Park, that is all done by volunteers, as well as our Whitewater Park. It's all done by volunteers. And I was surprised to hear that that's not part of our tax dollars, that a lot of us are volunteering for that.
Yes. And what's interesting about that is if it wasn't for the volunteers, we don't have, our city workers are very busy right now.
Yeah, they're stretched.
They work on critical issues.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So that we all have clean water, that the sewers work, that the snow is picked up in a time.
That the holes are filled in and whatnot. The sinkholes. They did that just the other day. So as you're publishing news, definitely wanted to cover a bit about ethics in news. I know there's ethics in all things that are consumer receive, which news is. Can you tell me a little bit about ethics in news? Because I only know about ethics in real estate.
Well, they're all similar. When you deal in an ethical sense, first you have to have your name out there. So, and they have to have a physical address to find you. In today's market, that physical address is not a mailbox, but it's an email account that you can go to and lodge your complaints or whatever you want to say about it. So that's where we start. Then the next thing is each article has to have an author. And if it's not original publication, you will see when you go to the Trestle Times News Sounds, where we're putting our news out, that with each article that was originally published has the author and the original publisher, which was the Andover Beacon.
Okay.
So that's stated in there too. So
you need a name and you need a source, or one and both if they're the same.
Yes. And then wherever that thread started is what I'm saying. Whereas in most social media accounts, you don't have to have a true name. You can just say you're Randy Fox or whatever.
Right.
Then, you don't know who you're talking to. So to be ethical, that's a business word. So if you are, like Erica said, she's a real estate agent. If you
we have a board of ethics and rules, like specific rules.
Correct. And the doctors have an ethical standard.
Right.
The Army has an ethical standard. And
so news people have an ethical standard as well. Not to be confused with our morals, which are personal values.
Correct.
It's an actual business type of
ethics
rules.
Relate your relationship to the world. And so
consumers
it's not
specifically,
just your personal thing. It's you are saying to the world, you are this person, and I'm going to prove it to you because I put my name on everything.
Is there any rules about truth or opinion or facts or anything of that nature?
Yes, very much so. In an article, you have to use pretty much first person. And when you quote somebody, you have to let people know who that quote person is that you're quoting. And you have to have the permission, just like in a photograph. If you want to take a photograph of a house, you can do it from the street. But if you go on their property, you have to get the permission. So the couple fires that were put out that I have the link to the fire department, we took a broad picture because to get up close up is not good. You get into their privacy. Right. You want to just show the overall effect of what happened to that house.
Okay.
And I had one viewer who asked me, did you get any end results on this? from the fires that happened last fall, and I haven't
Sure.
heard anything from the fire department. But one of the things I am doing is trying to take a picture of it as it progresses towards being finished. So
Okay.
you can see the original building on fire. Then sometime we'll release a picture of it halfway through or so. And then at the end when it's finished. So
So
you
you
can get
do need
a
to
picture
keep
of
the
this.
news relevant and updated as well as the images
Correct.
that you're displaying.
That's right. And the other
Okay.
thing of that is you have to be willing to put corrections in. So if you make a mistake, there has to be a statement about
Corrections
the
corner.
correction. Yes.
Yeah.
And that has to be online or even in the
We
news.
have that. We have
And we
that
do have
too.
that,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely critical. Well, the other thing is a little more difficult. People like to add comments that might not be nice. They might be actually downright nasty.
I'm pretty sure we have commenting turned off unless they share it and comment it separately.
Yeah, well, we do get comments on the news hands. So
Right, but you can email us if you have questions or concerns.
correct. If you really have a serious issue of something we've written you think is wrong, go to trestletimes@gmail.com. And we will address it to the best of our ability to track down the research and talk to the person or whatever it is that got us in this spot.
Right. So let's get back to about let's chat about how things are going now with the online news and the podcast. How has the transition been? What are we currently showing on the Trestle Times News Hounds Facebook page?
Interesting you ask. Like I said, I've only been on it for a few days, so I was actually flipping back to where we put our first one in. And it's only been a few weeks ago. It seems like months that we've been doing this.
Yeah.
But as we have, I'm not sure I mentioned it, we have over 60 articles that we have either publishing or have published in the past. And at least 30 or 40 of those are on there right now.
I'm also seeing there's a comic strip even.
Yes.
And Bill is posting a crossword puzzle,
Yes.
which can't be easy to create. He creates that himself.
Yes, he does.
And all of this is done by volunteer work. This morning at 10 a.m. Has that happened yet? Yes, it's happened. I posted an article about opening about real estate in Franklin and whatnot. So you have a whole group of people who are, where are you looking to go with this in the future? Are there things you want to add? Maybe some feedback you're looking for?
Sure. I have quite a few writers, and I do some writing myself and Erica, but we need more. And we need more information about one thing I'd like to focus on in the near future is businesses and tradesmen. Yeah. We want to do a 5-question interview. And so we're putting out the request that if you know somebody that you think is reliable, that can be helpful to the community, whether it be a plumber or a welder or whatever he is that you rely on.
Who exists in the community, correct?
Who exists in our local community as much as possible. And if you're willing to give them up, because they do get very busy, then we would appreciate to be able to put that on the news hounds so that anybody that wanted to look on there, instead of going maybe to next door or some other one of those, you could have a reliable source of where you get the information.
Yeah, I have a particular person I go to for my, heating and gas. That's local. Him and his wife have a business.
Yeah, and that's the idea. And all our writers are local. So,
like myself, I'm a realtor. Or
a realtor in town and live in town.
Who do you go to when you want a contractor or building? That type of thing, right? Who's your stone guy? Right? Who's your roof guy? Right. Who's your electrician?
Yeah, that's the 5-question interview. Then I have another one I've started. It's called Getting to Know Your Local Businesses. Okay. This is a longer one. I put 2 out so far. One was Kirk Wynett with the Tri-City Wreath Company, I think it is, that does the wreaths in town every year. I
didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, I think they're the Twin River Wreath Company. They're in town, and they put up the wreaths for us every Christmas season. And he sold over 1.5 million of wreaths over the years.
Wow!
And he's got an online site where you can go on and you can order it. And he does it for organizations, so it's all about.
I didn't even know.
For nonprofits. Then I have another guy that we just put on who is I'm going to be working with for the podcast. Eric and I are going to put a podcast about him. His name is Paul Skipper,
He's a
and
stone guy, right?
he's out in Dorchester, New Hampshire, and he is one of the original type. He takes those big granite stones and he takes drills the holes, and he takes wedges and hammers and
Which we
splits them.
see probably in some of the historic buildings that we have here, right?
Correct. So he
Yeah.
does a lot of big jobs, but he also has hard pack and all kinds of different things. And if you look on the News Sounds, Trestle Time News Sounds, you'll see some pictures of some of the work he's done.
Excellent.
And that's exciting because he's an old kind of.
So I think a lot of the people are getting to see now more what is, being posted on the Facebook page. I know that our original podcast was, thought to be more political because we interviewed the city manager. But it is targeting things that people want to know about, important things, things that we need to address.
Let me clarify a moment.
Activities that are currently going on.
Yeah.
I don't. So I think people are feeling more comfortable now. They're seeing our comics, the crossword puzzle. Yeah. What else do you think we're going to see in the future? I think you mentioned something about the high school.
Yeah, we're working on getting. It's the end of the season now, so the kids are busy. But I'm working on getting a podcast club started at the high school. And I think that'll probably pick up again in the fall. It's a little late in the season to make that work because everybody's busy. I mean, it's almost graduation week, and it's coming right up. But that's one. And I would also like to invite anybody else that wants to be on the podcast. Send us an email, and we would love to work it out with you. I
specifically would like to interview possibly some women. I may be the only one that noticed that there's a lot of guys on here. If there's a few women I have in mind to reach out to, but if you happen to want to do an interview, you have something to tell about Franklin, you have some news, please reach out. I would love to talk to you, learn more about your Isle of Franklin. What's going on in your Isle? I only know what's going on in my Isle, so let's share it, right?
Yes, that's true. We have several people on our list, but we would need more because the idea is we want youngsters. So if we've been able to put a couple photos out and little stories of people that are succeeding in the schools. But we would like to be able to do a podcast. If somebody gets a special award and they want a few minutes of local fame, then we can put them on the podcast and their parents or whatever and discuss that and add it to our regular routine.
Yeah, share some positive news, some things that are happening that are going on. I don't know if this is going to get posted before then or not, but you would probably see our table on Community Day. If it's posted after, thank you for coming to our table on Community Day.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have we're going to do a podcast at the Community Day. And so if you want to drop by and see yourself on the camera and have a little bit of history for yourself to look at. And
I don't know if we'll have electricity, Randy, but we'll definitely have things that you can use to give us some feedback about what you want to talk about. Okay. So I guess what we're trying to do is invite listeners to share what kinds of stories or interest pieces about Franklin you want covered.
That's right.
Volunteer stuff, any of that information. I'm personally interested. I know Mill City Park has their own page, but I am very interested to let Franklin know what's going on about Mill City Park when they have a moment to breathe.
I've got a couple other articles I'm working on too. The Syndicate block is being repaired right now across from the smaller building that faces the City Hall parking lot. Is getting a new
where the
roof.
Clothes closet is?
I'm sorry?
Is it where the clothes closet is?
Across from the City Hall.
Okay. So it's the blue and black building?
The little building there that they're putting the roof on.
Okay.
I forget what color it is right now, but it's a 2-story house that's part of the Syndicate building. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's getting repaired, and then they're going to start working on the Syndicate building. So that's good news. And across the street in the next door to the theater to the, I guess you'd say that's north, heading towards the river. That building has got some people in there working now, and the guy working on it, I guess you'd call him the supervisor, he mentioned that he wasn't sure, but he thought it might be office space. So that's
great. So we're moving along and we're coming along, and we will cover all of that stuff in future episodes.
Yes.
And yeah,
those will be our
please reach out if you want to write an article. Please reach out if you want to know more about something. Please reach out if you want to see or hear from any of our council members. I think that would be great interviews. Like, I don't really know them. I don't know them at all. I would love to know more about them.
Yes, we would like to have them come on and just talk about themselves, whatever they want.
What do they do? Like, what's their history?
We want the community to see them up front outside of a meeting, just as people.
That would be nice.
And that's what the old news is all about. I call it heritage news. And it's just like a blacksmith. It's something of value. It has something to give back to the community. Not everybody wants to deal with it, but there's a large percentage of us that like to think about the past and have it as a part of our future.
Okay, so thank you everybody for tuning in and kind of getting a little bit of history about Trestle Times and how it started and how it's progressed and how it's going. We hope that you join us in the future. Contact information is trestletimes@gmail.com, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Randy.
All right. Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Trestle Times Talks from the Franklin Communications Group. Like, subscribe, and share to support local voices. And if there's news we should cover, our contact info is in the notes. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay Franklin strong.
Oh, are you still